This discussion is actually going to be about Dragon Ball DAIMA, the new anime that was released recently by Toei Animation. The first thing that I will say is that I have been really looking forward to covering this anime. I obviously covered it earlier, not covered it earlier, but I talked about the trailer when it was initially announced. And I was actually intrigued by it more so than a lot of other people. I remember when the trailer was first introduced that that a lot of people were kind of upset by it, not necessarily by the anime itself, but more so about the fact that a lot of later Dragon Ball Super manga chapters were not being adapted into the anime yet, but that what we were actually getting was a focus on a story that was completely different from what was being talked about in the manga. Which I certainly understand, because I mean, when you're a fan of a manga that has an anime adaptation, you expect that manga to be adapted, and when it isn't, and instead the creators choose to go ahead and make an entirely separate story that you're not familiar with, it can definitely cause confusion as to why this is the course of action that's occurring. And I wouldn't say that I'm annoyed by it like many people are, because I like the concept of DAIMA. I think it was pretty interesting. Part of the reason why is because I wasn't around for early Dragon Ball, like OG Dragon Ball, when like Goku was like just like a young buck, like a young kid, you know what I mean? And I didn't really get to watch a lot of those episodes. I've watched some of them, like just gone back and watched some of them, like OG Dragon Ball, but I haven't watched all of it. And I think this is just like a good opportunity to kind of, get some people who didn't grow up with OG Dragon Ball that, was showcased in the 80s, just like a vibe of like how it was back then when Goku was initially introduced to the world, right? And that's the sense that I got when watching the first episode. It felt like I was kind of watching, how the inception of Dragon Ball was, and watching some of these characters, that have been around for years, go all the way back to their roots, right? Bulma, Goku. I mean, we haven't really seen much of other characters, but we've seen some. Right. But anyway, I don't want to ramble too much, because this is supposed to be a review of, episode 1 of Dragon Ball DAIMA. Side note, guys, this video is going to be a little bit different from what I usually do. Usually I kind of script out and really like detail and write out these videos and then record it from there on. But these ones, I've just really kind of just taken out notes and just kind of talking off the cuff here. So anyway, talking about episode 1. So I mentioned how I like the concept of this show, but the one thing I don't like is how they got to it. So anyways, I'll get to that point. But anyway, so I kind of just took these notes, honestly, as I was watching the episode. So the first thing that I was typing out here was like, whoever this new antagonist, he seems to have some ability to see events through time, sort of like the world between worlds thing. I don't know how many of you guys are Star Wars fans, but this concept that was introduced in Star Wars Rebels was this concept of the world between worlds, where characters are able to access this domain where they're able to see events that have occurred throughout Star Wars history. It's basically some more multiverse shit, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And if you've watched some of my earlier videos, or not earlier videos, but more recent videos, I should say, you already know that multiverse shit is some stuff that has, really been all over the place in media. So I'm not someone that's opposed to multiverse stuff. I just want good stories at the end of the day. I really don't care. I do think it's been a bit too much in media. But if it's done correctly, I'm cool with it. But anyways, so I said that maybe this new antagonist is probably another dark wizard. because he refers to Babidi as kind of like a colleague in a sense, right? He almost kind of seems like a rival to Babidi, which makes me think that he's another dark wizard kind of like Babidi, but that has yet to be confirmed. Anyway, there's another Kai that is an accomplice of this new dark wizard, and you soon find out his name is Degesu. And he's actually a relative to the Supreme Kai. And we actually come to find out that this new wizard seems to be a demon of some kind, and his name is Goma. And the reason why I say he's a demon of some kind is because he actually resides in the demon realm. As it was mentioned that Deborah, had died, and because he had died, Goma, this new demon wizard, looks to take up the mantle of the new demon king. So like this is the part of the anime that I said I didn't like. So their whole plan, right? Goma and Degesu, right? And really it's Goma, because Degesu didn't really think of it, but he kind of just agreed with it, which was pretty stupid. Their whole plan was to make the whole OG cast of characters young, so they wouldn't go and explore the demon realm, which is, like I said, really stupid. Because if these guys were present day, right, as we saw, they had some kind of technology that was exploring the past events, right? Who knows what made them even go ahead and do this at this moment in time? Made them go ahead and use this technology to explore past events where they saw Babidi and Majin Buu and Deborah and all these guys. Who knows what made them go ahead and do this? But these are events that happened years ago, right? So the fact that they're so worried about events that happened years ago is kind of strange, because their whole thing is, how are these Saiyans so powerful? What can we do to stop them? What can we do to make sure that they never go to the demon realm? But they saw all the events. They know that Deborah and Babidi are the ones that went to the regular, human world, right? And that none of these Saiyans, they wouldn't have even interacted with Babidi or Deborah or any of these demons if Babidi and Deborah hadn't interacted with them first, if they hadn't left the demon world and went out to the regular, like the regular human world in the first place. And plus, if they're watching this stuff from present day and looking back in the past, well, if they were going to go ahead and check out the demon world and go ahead and see what the demon world was about and where Deborah came from, they would have done this years ago. The fact that years have passed and no one from Goku to Gohan to Piccolo to Vegeta to like literally no one has went and explored the demon world tells you what? They don't really give a shit, right? Like they don't care. They didn't go out of their way looking into the demon world or anything. So my entire mindset, right, was when I saw that, I'm like, if you go out of your way to do something to the regular OG cast of characters, Goku, Vegeta, and everything, well, that's just gonna make them look into the demon world, which is exactly what you don't want to happen. You know what I mean? Like, your mindset should be, yeah, all these crazy things happen. Yeah, these guys are super powerful, but this happened years ago. They killed Deborah. They killed Deborah. Majin Buu killed Deborah. But anyway, Goma and Degesu, they saw how powerful these Saiyans are, right? And if their whole mindset was, like, we don't want to mess with these guys, well, you should have thought logically that the fact that it's been years and none of them have went to the demon world, the best course of action should be to, leave them the fuck alone. You know what I mean? They've never had any reason to go to the demon world, and you basically messing with them is going to give them a reason to go into the demon world. So I just thought that was really stupid. I like the whole idea of them, of turning the whole cast of characters into kids. I don't know. I just kind of think it's cool, but I just don't like the process and how it was done, because it's so counterintuitive. But anyway, it happens. I personally would have liked a some kind of process where, let's say, instead of Degesu and Goma using Earth's Dragon Balls to make the original cast of characters into why do I keep saying the original cast of characters? The Z Fighters, right? Instead of using the Dragon Balls to make the Z Fighters into kids, I personally would have liked, let's say, I don't know, Goku and Vegeta are on a planet or some shit like that, right? And they mess with something, right? That turns them into children. Let's say it's like some kind of like maybe not disease, because disease is kind of like the wrong word. Maybe maybe you can use the word disease, but I don't know. Maybe it's like some kind of, I don't know, spell or something, right? But like, let's say they go to another planet, they get caught with some kind of disease that turns them into children, and let's say this disease or something is infectious, and they go back to Earth, right? And because it's infectious, Bulma and Krillin and Piccolo and Gohan and the rest of the Z Fighters, all get infected with this disease, and they all turn into children, and now they all have to basically figure out how they can turn themselves back into how they regularly were, right? Maybe they have to go back to a planet, or this planet that they originally had turned into children, and figure out some kind of cure. Maybe you have to talk to like the natives on that planet or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of like brainstorming here, literally off the cuff, but I just feel like this would have been a little bit more interesting, because how the anime was set up, though I like the idea of the whole Z Fighters being children and everything, I don't like the process and how they got there, because it's so obvious in terms of how they're going to end up turning back. Like, as we see later on, Bulma is already fixing a ship from the Supreme Kai that he used to get from the demon realm to the regular realm, that the Universe 7 realm that we see the Z Fighters occupy today. Bulma is basically fixing that ship back up, because it had been years that the Supreme Kai had even utilized that ship. She's using that old ship to basically get some of the members of the Z Fighters back to the demon world, so they can figure out everything about how they were turned into kids, and basically reverse that. So yeah, that's basically where we're at now. One thing that's actually pretty interesting is that, and now when I say interesting, it is pretty necessary as well, but it's the fact that the main cast of characters all kept their adult minds, like literally all of them. Like, I mean, I say it's interesting, but it's kind of not, because yeah, you can turn them into kids, but you can't actually give them kids' brains, because like, how are they going to figure out and solve the issue, right, of how they turn into kids, right? If they had kids' brains, how are they going to solve and investigate this issue, right? So you can't really do that. If you give them kids' brains, then it's good night Delilah for them. They're all just a bunch of children. But I will say though, just thought of this. What if some of the members like literally became children, and then some of the members kept their adult brains, and then they had to investigate why like some of the Z Fighters kept their adult brains versus some kept their or got younger kid version brains, whatever, consciousness, I should say. Just kind of throwing that out there, but yeah, it's just kind of interesting to think about. Anyways, let me know what you thought about Dragon Ball Daima. I personally enjoy it. I like it. Another thing, actually, side note, is we see Goku and Piccolo and a lot of the other Z Fighters have to figure out how to get acclimated to their new bodies, right? And their new kid versions. I don't know how far that goes, because we literally saw that Goku and Piccolo, like, they can't even fly properly because they're not even accustomed to their kid version bodies anymore. Obviously, why would they? And why I say I don't know how far it goes is because, does this affect some of their other abilities as well, right? Does this affect how, comfortable they are using Ki Blast or, the Kamehameha wave? Or like if Goku were to utilize the Spirit Bomb, would he be as comfortable using that as well? I have no clue, right? So it really is intriguing because right now, we're at this stage where Goku is about to go and travel to the demon world, and, he's going to be accompanied by the other Z fighters. And we haven't actually seen them spar or use some of their regular abilities outside of literally flying, right? So because of that, if they get to the demon world and, it's time to kind of go at it, you know what I mean? And start battling and everything. Are they going to get to that point and then figure out that they are not really as accustomed to controlling their ki and utilizing their regular abilities in these kid forms, in the heat of battle? You know what I mean? That's not something that you kind of want to figure out at that moment in time. No, that's something that you kind of want to experiment with a little bit and kind of test out before you go out into the demon world, because then they could actually kind of train up a little bit and, figure out the best way to utilize what techniques work and what techniques don't work and things of that nature. So, it's pretty interesting to see. I mean, we'll just we'll see how those things go, and we'll discuss it from there on. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, leave all comments down below what you thought about the series, and stay tuned. Take care.